Today is Monday, November 20th of the year of our Lord, 2023. And somehow, some way, Washington Commanders head coach Ron Rivera is still employed. How? We're going to be explaining that on today's show. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now, because if and when Ron Rivera gets fired, we are going to have you guys covered with a video right here on the channel. We're going to be letting you guys know all the details. We're going to let you know who the interim is when this guy gets fired. And it might be probably Friday. We're going to have a video for you guys, so you're not going to want to miss that. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now. And with that, let's get into today's show. So yesterday, if you watched our post-game reaction video to the Commanders' embarrassing 31-19 loss, I called for the head of head coach Ron Rivera after just an abysmal 4-7 start to the 2023 campaign. And I called for Eric Bieniemy to be named the interim head coach. Unfortunately, the Commanders want to keep on with this incompetence here, and they're going to hang on to Ron Rivera for at least another week. Now, I do have a theory as to why they decided not to fire him after yesterday's matchup, and I think that's because the Commanders are going into a short week here. Of course, they're going to be playing against the Cowgirls on Thursday afternoon on Thanksgiving, and I don't think that they wanted to put Eric Bieniemy or whoever they're planning to put as the interim in there on such a short week and such a short kind of time frame, especially going up against a team like the Dallas Cowboys on the road in front of a national audience. And really, I think that this game going into this one now, this is going to be Ron Rivera's last stand. Thursday, it's going to be Turkey Day, Thanksgiving Day. If the Commanders once again just come out and just play a terrible game of football, and the Cowboys, who have boat raced really bad football teams so far this year, ends up beating them by like 40-3 or something like that, I mean, it's going to be time, man. It's going to be time, especially because you're going to have an extended period of time before your next game. You have plenty of time to instill Eric Bieniemy or whoever else you want to instill as the interim. So I really do think this is do or die time for Ron Rivera. This game has to at least be within one score, or else his ass is grass. I know I've said that on the show before, but it's true this time, man. It really has to be, because with all the things going on coming out of the week, right? You're going to be going into the rest of the season when the season is essentially already over, right? You want to see if this new interim head coach, hopefully Eric Bieniemy, has the chops to be a head coach in the National Football League. There's no reason to keep Ron Rivera if you go to 4-8 with a loss this week. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Will Ron Rivera be fired after this week's game versus the Cowboys, or will they end up keeping him? Type F if you think he's going to get fired, or type K if you think you're going to keep him. This is also going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. So the guy that I absolutely want to get to be the interim head coach after Ron Rivera is fired, hopefully on Friday, maybe better than that, Thursday evening. Make Ron Rivera walk home if they lose this game by 20-plus points, all right? So I really do think that Eric Bieniemy is the guy for the Washington Commanders for the rest of the season, and I really do think that he could be a great head coach here in Washington, not just for the rest of the season, but for years to come. Sam Howell really seems to be comfortable in his offense. And, when you build this offensive line with the cap space and the draft capital that you have over the next couple of seasons, I think that this offense could absolutely be humming in a couple of years, if not next year, with EB kind of steering the ship here. And then I'm also excited to see, if he is named the head coach, what kind of people he's going to bring in. Who is he going to bring in as his offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator? Because I can tell you this, it's not going to be Jack Del Rio. So I really do think that Eric Bieniemy is going to be an interesting option for the Washington Commanders, and I'm definitely rooting for him because I think he deserves this opportunity. Now, coming up here, Deonte Banks, all right, somebody that I said that the Commanders maybe should have targeted during the 2023 NFL Draft, was calling out the Commanders after the Giants swept Washington this season on his Instagram Live. I'm going to let you know what he said, and I'm going to tell you why he's a chump here coming up in just a second. But first, let's talk about today's sponsor at PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a deposit match up to $100 today. If you're looking for a way to spice up your game days this NFL season, get started with Prize Picks. It's super fun, super addictive, and if you know ball, you can absolutely make some money here. It's a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. You might be asking yourselves, how does this work? Well, here's how. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their Prize Picks projection. You can even win up to 25 times your money on any entry. So let's take a look at my entry for Monday Night Football. Super Bowl rematch here, Eagles, Chiefs. I'm going to go with the more on passing yards for Jalen Hurts. I think you'll get more than 236.5. Devontae Smith is on my fantasy team, so I'm going to go with the more there because hopefully he gets more than that. And then also I'm going to take the more on Travis Kelce. He's got 75.5 right now on Prize Picks. I think he gets more than that here on Monday Night Football. Check it out now at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. With Prize Picks, it takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks. So get started right now. Get your picks in before Monday Night Football tonight. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS at prizepicks.com/CLNS for a deposit match up to $100 today. So rookie cornerback out of the University of Maryland. He was a Commanders fan growing up. Now he is a New York Giant. Deonte Banks called out the Commanders on his Instagram Live celebrating yesterday's win versus Washington. And this is what he had to say. He held no punches, man. This is what he had to say. Could have came and got me at 16, and they didn't. Now I'm 2-0 against you, bum. Well, I guess you guys can figure out the rest of the stuff there on the quote. And then also when it comes to Terry McLaurin, what he had to say about Terry is he said, did 17 even play today? So he was definitely talking some smack, talking some crap, all these different things. And, Deonte Banks has a little bit of a point here because Terry McLaurin didn't have a great day. Granted, scary Terry. I mean, the offense just wasn't working yesterday, period. But 5 catches on 7 targets, just 43 yards for a long of 11 yards and 0 touchdowns. So I can see why Deonte was kind of boasting a little bit. But let me tell you something right now, man. This guy is a chump for calling out his former favorite team. I understand playing with a chip on your shoulder. I understand that he wanted to go play for the Commanders and they passed on him for Emmanuel Forbes. But the case that he's making here is that the Commanders should have drafted him over Emmanuel Forbes, and I'm not sure if he actually has a case for that. You look at their numbers throughout this season. Right now, Deonte's only averaging 1 more tackle per game than Emmanuel. You got more tackles for loss on the Emmanuel Forbes side here. He's got more PBUs, the same amount of interceptions, and then Emmanuel actually has a higher grade than Deonte. Deonte Banks has not been a good corner this year. I actually had him ranked as my number 4 corner in this year's NFL draft, and he hasn't really lived up to that. Just a 47.2 PFF grade. That's one of the lowest among corners in the National Football League. I think that might actually be bottom 10 in this league right now. And this guy is the guy that's calling us out. This is the guy talking shit. Are you kidding me? Let me know down there in the comments section, man. Who's going to have the better career between Emmanuel Forbes and Deonte Banks? Type EF if you think Forbes is going to be better, or if you think Deonte Banks, this chump, is going to be better. Type DB down there in the comments section. Now, before I go, I do have some final news items to break down with you guys from the injury front. The first, edge rusher, F.A. Obata. Really, really scary leg injury yesterday, man. Multiple leg fractures in yesterday's loss to the New York Giants. He has now been placed on IR, and he will miss the rest of the season. We really hope that Obata here gets a speedy recovery and a full recovery, and he can come back and play some football for our Washington Commanders in 2024. And then a little bit on the better side here, on the brighter side, Cody Barton, inside linebackers. 21-day practice window has been open to return from IR. So hopefully, at this point in the season, it doesn't really matter. But, getting him back in the lineup will be nice to see if he can be a true starter for this defense moving forward alongside Jamin Davis. Well, that's going to be it for me today, Commanders fans. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. Make sure you click that subscribe button for me right now for more Commanders news and rumors analysis here leading up to Thanksgiving.